Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex with my co-host beside me, Anthony Rivardo. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe below. Coming at you with new information every single day, as always, my friends. In today's episode, we're taking a look at Malik Willis, quarterback out of Liberty, and Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh. Both had their pro days this week, and it's getting a little intriguing for the Giants, who have a good opportunity to trade back and leverage their position, get more draft capital, and really set themselves up for the future in a good way. And I think Joe Shane's already done a good job being conservative with free agency, not kicking the can down the road, not putting too much money against them in the future. And personally, I think this is a good opportunity for them in the draft to hit the reset button the right way, build a foundation, do what you got to do on both sides of the football, whether it be a pass rusher, an offensive lineman in the first round, or just addressing those guys at some point in the mid rounds to the early portion of the draft. But when we're looking at Pickett, Willis, two different players, both offer potentially great level NFL play. And I'm excited to talk to you, Anthony, about those two guys and why the Giants are in a great position to maybe leverage their spots, 5th and 7th overall picks, to a team like the Falcons, like the Panthers, like the Saints, even Washington. There are guys, teams out there that are willing to draft a rookie now, so that way they can use their bridge quarterbacks effectively. Before we dive into all this good stuff, my friend, how you doing?
Doing great. Getting really excited for the 2022 NFL draft. Love the endless possibilities that the Giants have afforded to them, especially having 2 first-round picks gives them so many options. And now that there's teams, the quarterback situation is kind of getting sorted out for most teams, but not all teams, right? Like, of course, Cleveland and Indianapolis, they just solved their quarterback problems. But you still got the Falcons. You still got the Saints. You've still got a couple other teams out there that might be looking to draft a quarterback. And the Giants are sitting in a perfect position where they're sitting in front of the Falcons, a team that many teams know might want to go ahead and draft a quarterback at number 8. Giants have the pick at 7. That might give them all the leverage in the world just being in front of the Falcons, a team that is almost certainly in the quarterback market in this year's draft. So Giants are sitting in a very pretty position. There's a lot of buzz around Malik Willis, around Kenny Pickett, and a couple other quarterbacks in this year's draft. We might see only 1 to 2 go in the first round. We might end up seeing 3 or 4. You never know. The draft is a total crapshoot. You can't really bet on anything. But what the Giants can bet on is the fact that they are in a very, very good position to either acquire some great talent or some great draft capital.
Right. And, when you're looking at the teams the Giants could trade back with, right off the bat, we look at the Panthers. They are not going to be trading for Baker Mayfield. And I love this dude. When Baker Mayfield basically was like, I guess the Panthers like, we don't want to trade for Baker, and Baker immediately is like, I'm not interested either. Like anyone that's kind of going against him and saying like, I don't want you, he's coming right back and saying, you know what, I don't want that, I don't want you either. And like it's just kind of this back and forth. I don't know what team's going to trade for Baker Mayfield. Somebody, I think Skip Bayless said the Giants should do it, and that's why I'm never listening to this dude again. Not that I did in the first place, but like Baker Mayfield for the Giants right now with his cap hit and his situation, I don't want any piece of that. Hit the rebuild the right way. We're not a quarterback away. We all know this, based on the fact that Daniel Jones has struggled to develop. But with the Giants at the 5th and 7th overall picks, you have the Carolina Panthers, who could go for a quarterback now, Atlanta Falcons, who signed Marcus Mariota to a 2-year contract, a perfect bridge opportunity for a rookie, especially one like Pickett or Malik Willis, who are kind of far behind in their development in terms of being NFL like top 5 ready. Nonetheless, when you have quarterbacks and other NFL teams are not sure where to go, they need a quarterback. Sometimes they take a shot. We saw it last year with Trey Lance and whatnot. The Seattle Seahawks, they got Drew Lock, but are we really confident Drew Lock is going to be the answer in Seattle? Probably not. No matter what Pete Carroll has to say about it. So I think that they could definitely be in the market for a quarterback. Washington, definitely in the market. They got Carson Wentz. I mean, for goodness sake, someone eventually got to make the decision that Carson Wentz is not going to be winning any Super Bowls anytime soon. Houston, they got Davis Mills. They could be in play, but they also have that 2nd overall pick, I believe, or 3rd overall pick. So, they don't really need to trade up. Looking back, the Saints, obviously that's a huge one. The Saints need a quarterback. They signed Jameis Winston to another deal, Anthony, but do you really think Jameis Winston is going to be, their long-term starter? Do you think they're looking for a rookie now?
I don't think Jameis Winston is their long-term starter. I think they're looking for a rookie either now or next year. So I think the Saints are in a position where if they fall in love with one of these top two prospects, either Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett, they'll make a move up or at least try to in order to draft them. But if they can't make the deal that they like, or if they don't end up falling in love with one of those two prospects, I think they're just going with the bridge quarterback this year in Jameis Winston and going all in on the 2023 NFL draft for a quarterback, which is apparently what the Giants plan to do as well.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the right move, right? But when it comes to Kenny Pickett, the Giants had their brass there. He looked great. He really put on a show. And then Shea Tierney, the quarterback's coach, traveled from visiting the Kenny Pickett's pro day to Malik Willis's. This is, in my opinion, not so much about the Giants drafting a quarterback as much as it is about Shea Tierney going out and talking to the other teams, talking to their scouts, gathering information, figuring out what teams like who, if they like these guys, if they're really considering drafting them, because every little bit of information will give Joe Shane more leverage in a situation where he's looking to trade back. If the Saints are there and they're like, we really like Kenny Pickett, they're showing a lot of love to him, they're talking to him a lot, they're definitely going out of their way to make sure that he is someone that they like. I think that that's something you report back to Joe Shane if you're Shea Tierney. And, I saw the Saints guy going to talk to Kenny Pickett for, the fifth time. He talked to him for 10 minutes, more than anybody else there. That little bit of information can tell you the Saints like him. And if we can find, and if you're Shea Tierney, you're looking for somebody else, right? Maybe you're looking for the Falcons. And they're like, the Falcons guy was probably the second most to spend time with Kenny Pickett. Those two teams are clearly interested. I think we can start some sort of bidding war against them. We can start some sort of who wants it more, like between those two teams, because, ultimately with the Falcons right behind the Giants, the Saints might be like, damn, like we really want him. And the Giants might be the best opportunity to go up and get it. So like those are the little things that I would be doing if I was Shea Tierney. And, the Giants aren't seriously considering a quarterback right now. I'd be looking at that perspective, that strategy as a winning formula to figuring out who the Giants can pin against each other to drive up the draft capital. But Anthony, let's say like theoretically the Falcons are looking to trade up to acquire whatever quarterback. What do you think is a reasonable trade? Because they're going to go up to 5 to get him. The Giants will be moving back to 8. Do you think, personally, I think maybe their second round pick would be enough. That's the 43rd overall pick. I'd say 3 spots. That's pretty valuable. You get another second round pick out of it. Would you do that deal?
Yeah, I probably would do that deal, as long as there's not an Evan Neal on the board, right? Let's say Evan Neal, Ike Ekwonu, both off the board. Giants are picking at number 5. I'm not settling for Charles Cross at number 5. You get what I'm saying? Like I'll move down to number 8 and extract that value. That additional second round pick can be really valuable. And I really like Charles Cross. I think I've been a big fan of his on this podcast for over a month now. Like I'm a huge fan of him, but he's not meant to be a top 5 pick. And if you're talking about extracting the value out of each pick, you have to draft players in the range that they're supposed to be drafted in. You don't want to reach on players. If you're going to reach, it's just not going to work out in terms of extracting the value. So you'd rather trade down, draft somebody in the proper range, and then get an extra pick later that you can leverage in another trade or use to gain even more talent, because you're trying to stack talent on talent and fill out a roster that has a whole bunch of holes. That's what the Giants need to do. So I think that's a good deal. If you're offered a second round pick to move back 3 spots, that's pretty exciting. I think you definitely want to take that. The only problem is if the Giants are dead set on going on an offensive tackle in the top 10, you're going to be very fearful of the fact that the Carolina Panthers at number 6 are going to take the best tackle available, and the Giants are going to be stuck shit out of luck. No offensive tackle in the first round. They're going to have to pivot towards round 2 or go after a guy that they don't really think is worthy of a top 10 pick in the top 10. So it could come back to bite the Giants. If they're trying to play the extract the value game, right, get as much value as possible for each pick, then they move down, and then they have to reach on a tackle because all of their tackles are off the board. That could be pretty problematic. So it's really going to come down to what the board looks like on draft night. That's why most draft day trades don't take place until the moment that the team is on the clock, because you got to see what the board is like. And I think that's going to be really important for the Giants, especially if they are dead set on going after an offensive tackle.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a good factor to bring up there, that if there is an Evan Neal or an Ike Ekwonu on the board, it makes it a lot more difficult to trade back, especially if that's the 3rd offensive tackle off the board, But I will say this, if you're trading from 5 to 8, you're really just praying that the Panthers don't screw you, right? Which, they have in the past. Like I don't trust the Panthers. I don't trust any team in the draft really. But if the Giants do move back, the team you're trading that pick to is taking a quarterback, And then the Panthers obviously are the big question mark. Where do they go? And then you have 7 and 8 if you're with the Falcons in this scenario. But the Saints, if the Saints are trading up to 5 or 7 with the Giants, likely the 5th overall spot, you are taking their 2023 first round pick, no questions asked. Very similar to the Bears. I would even try to get another third out of it. Honestly, I would be like, that's not enough because we need more draft capital this year. We're losing our first round pick, especially with a lot of talent on the board. You know, Jermaine Johnson, Kayvon Thibodeau, so many good pass rushers that we might have missed out on our offensive tackles. Just to give you some insight into Charles Cross. Charles Cross had his pro day today at Mississippi State, and he said the Giants and Jets were the two teams that reached out to him the most and spoke to him. So that's a clear indication that they're interested. Those of you that are concerned about him playing right tackle, he did right tackle drills at his pro day, and he looked great and really versatile. So that's a really great sign in terms of his adaptation. And I'll also throw this into the mix. 2022 is a freaking wash year anyway. We are rebuilding. We are trying to get the youth foundation built. We're trying to get the youth to grow and develop a little bit, so that way we can maybe inject a quarterback into the offense next year and be kind of ready to compete with a young player at the helm. But when I'm looking at a guy like Charles Cross playing right tackle his rookie season, if he struggles, so be it. He has a whole year of experience under his belt. He'll learn a lot in that process. And just a little insight here, not any of those 3 first-round players, those first-round offensive tackles, at least Charles Cross, Evan Neal, and Ike Ekwonu, none of them have a lot of right tackle experience. So it's like you're really hoping for what? I guess Daniel Falale, right? That's the other guy. He's a right tackle. Pierre out of Ohio State, that he's a right tackle. Like, you're really taking a big risk there. Trevor Penning, he's athletically gifted, but I think he's going to have a lot of trouble as a pass protector to start his career. I think he's going to be a far better run defender, rather run blocker. But Anthony, when you're thinking about this, what do you think the chances of the Giants of actually trading back, and giving another team the opportunity to get a quarterback? What do you think the chances of them actually doing it at this point? If you get to give it like out of 100%, what would you say?
I think it's about a 50-50 shot, like, honestly. And the reason that I don't think it's low, like, of course, in past years when you would ask me this, Dave Gettleman's a guy, I'd say, there's probably like a 10% chance, right? It was super rare. Even last year, I thought there was like 40% chance at the most because, there was all the buzz about them trading down, but he's just never done it. This year, I think that Joe Schoen is one of those general managers that would love to trade down and wants to trade down. But this year, I don't know how many trade partners they're going to be able to find. It's a weak quarterback class, and there's not that many teams that are going to be too excited to trade the farm for one of these guys, Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis. I think that the hype on Kenny Pickett is fake. I don't think he's going to be a top 10 pick. I don't think there's any chance of that. I think he's going in the middle of the first round or late in the first round. But with Malik Willis, I'm buying into that hype. I think that there are teams that are going to want to trade up for him, and I think there's going to be one trade up for a quarterback in this year's first round of the draft. And I think that the Giants are the team in the perfect position to be the ones trading down because of that. So if Malik Willis doesn't go at number 2 overall, I don't think he's going 3-4, but number 5, the Giants are in a perfect spot to trade down because any team can get ahead of the Falcons and the Panthers in order to draft Malik Willis in that spot. And if the Panthers are dead set on a tackle, Giants go tackle at 5, tackle at 6. Number 7, we all know that number 8, if that's true, that teams are falling in love with Malik Willis, the Falcons are a real danger spot. So that could also be another opportunity for a team to trade up. So honestly, I think the likelihood of the Giants trading down is pretty high. Maybe I'd even put it above 50%, maybe 60%. I don't know. The percentage is kind of wacky. I don't really know how to determine that. But I think that Joe Schoen wants to do it. He's just going to have to go ahead and find a trade partner. But I think that it's just really going to come down to how much hype is surrounding Malik Willis come the end of April, and is a team willing to sell the farm? Because I think the Giants know long-term the best move for them, gaining an additional first-round pick next year, gaining as much draft capital in this year and next year's drafts as possible. So, yeah, I think they want to trade down. It's just about finding a trade partner.
I think I'm buying into the Malik Willis hype too. I've been speaking about Malik Willis for like a year now, about his qualities, what he offers a team. Consider the fact that San Francisco spent a valuable first rounder last year on Trey Lance, who didn't even sniff the field for the most part. Teams are taking chances in the top 10, top 5 on guys, way more developed and ready for the NFL than Malik Willis, But I will say this, Malik Willis has a couple of things that really stand out to me. One, the guy has an absolute cannon of an arm. He has a cannon of an arm. He also has impeccable leadership qualities. He's a good human being. Like that goes a long way too. Is he doesn't have any personality red flags. So he's going to be a good quarterback. The quarterback has to elevate everybody. He has to bring energy to your offense. He has to be able to learn from his mistakes. He's able to do all those things. A lot of NFL teams have already said that his mental attributes were far greater than they thought they would be. He killed it on the Wonderlic test, which, isn't the biggest deal, but he did that. And he also showed that he has more knowledge of schematics and offensive schemes than previously thought, and from coming from Liberty's basic offense. He can run the modern offense. Teams are going to RPOs. Teams are going to zone read options. Teams are using mobile quarterbacks more predominantly. The pocket passer is dying, and everybody knows that. Everybody knows except for New England, which somehow is going to succeed with Mac Jones. But like the traditional pocket passer is slowly becoming more mobile. Even Justin Herbert, who's a great pocket passer, is also able to run. You know what I mean? Like these guys are able to run and they're able to throw from the pocket, which is just the more modernized quarterback with more athleticism. Malik Willis can do all that stuff. It's going to take him time. It's going to take him a year of growth and development, but a team that's willing to wait through that process and get him to where he needs to be is going to be extremely happy that they drafted him. But it's all about having the right coaching. He needs to go to a team that has good coaching. The Giants, honestly, would be a perfect landing spot for Malik Willis because they have two of the league's best quarterback groomers in Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka at their disposal. If they wanted to develop a rookie quarterback now, they could 100% do it. However, I think Bryce Young and CJ Stroud offer them a better opportunity to get a ready-made NFL quarterback and grow around. So I think that's where they're going to look for it. Like Anthony said, getting more capital for next year is ideal. But Malik Willis has a ton of value for the reasons that I listed, and I think that teams are going to fall in love with that. And as you said before, the Detroit Lions are already being mocked by a lot of people as being super, super interested in Malik Willis and could potentially take him second overall and use Jared Goff as a bridge quarterback. So if that's the case, it honestly might be a good thing for the Giants because then Kenny Pickett's the last on the board, and all those quarterback needy teams are going to be like, we got to get him. Right. And the Panthers are the team to get in front of. And luckily the Giants have the 5th overall spot. So all those teams, if Malik Willis goes early, it might be a best case scenario for the Giants, but I could also see how him dropping to 5 would also give them some leverage too. So just some thoughts for today's episode. Obviously, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to Fireside Giants, taking a look at all the information we have to bring to you today about Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, all the stuff going on behind the scenes, obviously, and the hype that's coming along. And the draft is coming up very quickly, so we'll keep you guys informed with everything and all the movements and fluctuations of the draft prospects and their value and what the Giants are looking into. As I said, hope you enjoyed. Have a phenomenal rest of your week, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.